Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to a weekend edition of No DQ&A video right here on NoDQ.com, as well as the YouTube channel and No DQ&A videos affiliate RingsideNews.com. Got your questions regarding the world of wrestling, so let's get started with the first one, which comes from Brandon. Do you think WWE will use the 2K video game as a way to bring back Kurt Angle or the Hardy Boys in 2017? Interesting question, and I think a lot of it has to do with how WWE feels about Kurt Angle and also what's going on with TNA. If TNA goes under in the next several months, I think that will increase the chances of WWE doing something with the Hardy Boys next year. I definitely feel Kurt Angle should be in the WWE Hall of Fame very soon, within the next couple of years. The big question is, will WWE allow him to do one more match? There's been all this talk about Vince McMahon not wanting to have Kurt Angle do another match. Vince does not want to take the risk of something bad happening to Kurt on WWE's watch and the negative press that it would generate with an Olympic gold medalist possibly dying in a WWE ring or under the WWE's umbrella. That has been the biggest concern by WWE. I'm hopeful WWE and Kurt Angle will be able to work something out. I would be shocked if we do not see Kurt Angle back on WWE television in some fashion. I think it's inevitable he'll go into the Hall of Fame, but will he appear in WWE soon? That remains to be seen. But yeah, I could see something happening in the next couple years with Kurt Angle being in a WWE 2K game, and that be the setup for him doing something else, whether it's the Hall of Fame or coming back for one more match. I mean, that would really be the sign. We've seen it time and time again. The 2K deals usually lead to something bigger. And it's not that WWE's on bad terms with Kurt Angle. It's just the concern about his health. And, you know, if Kurt Angle did show up on WWE television again, fans would want to see him wrestle. And there would be all this pressure for WWE to allow Kurt Angle to do one more match. So it's a big question mark if WWE's ever going to allow him to wrestle again. Got this one here from Matt UU90. With Goldberg returning to the ring, should we expect Kurt Angle to be back soon too? Again, I think there's a possibility for the 2K deal that Kurt Angle might be part of that. But as far as Kurt Angle coming back and wrestling again, I'm not so sure. With Goldberg, I mean, he's in pretty good shape and obviously he's cleared to wrestle. WWE's going forward with this plan to do Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar, even though Goldberg is 49 years old. Again, with Kurt Angle, it's the whole thing about him being an Olympic gold medalist and that concern that something bad might happen to him on WWE's watch. So time will tell if Kurt Angle does come back. It could happen early next year. It could happen late next year. It could happen a few years from now. It might not happen in the sense of Kurt Angle getting in the ring and wrestling again. Got this one here from Broken Ty Marshall. In your opinion, what is the biggest dream match we will never get to see? Kurt Angle versus Bret Hart or Kurt Angle versus Daniel Bryan? That's a good question, and I think a lot of it would depend on personal taste, but also what would be the bigger attraction. As big of a star as Daniel Bryan was and how over he was with the fans, I mean, Bret Hart was the guy in WWE for several years, even though WWE was not as popular during Bret's peak. Bret Hart was still the guy that the company was built around for several years. He was the WWE champion for a long period of time, an extended period of time, and Bret Hart was considered the best performer of his era. And some would say that about Daniel Bryan too, and I think if Daniel Bryan had not gotten injured and had all of his problems, Daniel Bryan perhaps could have been as big of a star as Bret Hart. We'll never know because his career got cut short. As far as which match would be better, I mean, that's a really tough question to answer. I mean, I think Kurt Angle and Bret Hart would be excellent from a technical standpoint. I think from an acrobatic standpoint, I think Daniel Bryan and Kurt Angle might be a little bit better and faster paced. It's really hard to say. Again, it comes down to your own personal taste, and would you prefer more of a bit scientific, or would you prefer a bit more acrobatic? I mean, it just depends on what you're interested in seeing, what you would prefer. Got this one here from Da Mangs. Even though Brock Lesnar is a part-timer, he's on Raw. If Goldberg sticks around longer than Survivor Series, should he be SmackDown's Brock? No. Even if Goldberg sticks around past Survivor Series, I do not see him being a SmackDown attraction. If Goldberg was going to appear at the Royal Rumble or appear at WrestleMania, WWE would have Goldberg appear on Raw. Raw is still the A show, regardless of SmackDown almost on a weekly basis having the better show in the eyes of many fans. Raw is still the most watched show, and because Goldberg would be a special attraction and being paid a lot of money, he's going to be put on Raw. He's going to be on the show where the most eyeballs will see him, and that's Monday Night Raw. Got this one here from Noel Sancho. What are your thoughts about WWE signing Mickie James to face Asuka at the NXT TakeOver Toronto show? From what I understand, Trish Stratus was actually originally planned to be in Mickie James' spot. She was going to come out of retirement and do a match, but then she got pregnant and Mickie James stepped in. Now, also, it appears that Mickie James is just doing this as a one-off, so do I think it's a good idea to do this? I do feel it adds intrigue to that event. Does it take away from somebody else who might be able to get a spot on the show? Yeah, it does, but at the same time, there's not a lot of other options right now in terms of opponents for Asuka. I think that WWE really needs to start building up the women's division. I mean, all the top women over the past several years are now on Raw and SmackDown. They all almost all of them got called up. And I think it's a little bit of a rebuilding process now for the women's division. You need to bring in some fresh blood. I've said this before, I'd love to see Candice LeRae in NXT and on the main roster soon. And there's other names. There's plenty of talented female performers out there that WWE could sign up. But for now, I mean, Mickie James seems like a good spot. That seems like a good option. And she's going to add some interest and intrigue to the NXT Toronto show just to see her come back and the nostalgia and all that. This one comes from Jeremiah Dorset. What is your favorite TLC tag team match in WWE history? 1, 2, 3, or 4, and do you see WWE doing another one in the future? I think there's a chance we could see it at this year's TLC pay-per-view. That's certainly a possibility. As far as my favorite match goes, I mean, the SummerSlam 2001 was my personal favorite. To me, that was just as close to a perfect ladder match as you could ask for. Just an incredible stunt show, and very little was botched in that match. Almost everything they did looked really good and spectacular. Some would argue that the WrestleMania 17 match was better, and of course you had that one big spot at WrestleMania 17, which might be the most memorable TLC spot of all time when Edge did the spear to Jeff Hardy. But I would say as an overall match in terms of the quality and how well the execution was, I would say the SummerSlam 2000 match. Got this one here from @JHCamper. Do you think the Cruiserweights will be involved in the Royal Rumble given their kayfabe disadvantage with a weight limit? That's an interesting question. If the Cruiserweight division is being kept separate from everything else, then it would not make sense for them to be in the Royal Rumble. Is a Cruiserweight going to win and then challenge the WWE Heavyweight Champion? Just doesn't make sense. So my guess would be that the Cruiserweights are not going to be in the Royal Rumble. And somebody else asked me about maybe WWE doing a Cruiserweight Royal Rumble. I would not do that. I would not do a Women's Royal Rumble. I would stick to one Royal Rumble. I think doing more than one Rumble match would be overkill. That's just my opinion on it. The Royal Rumble is something special. It happens once a year, and I think WWE should just keep it at one a year. So yeah, I'm not expecting the Cruiserweights to be in the Rumble. This one comes from JJA Sports Studio. Do you think Sasha Banks versus Charlotte will main event Hell in a Cell due to the match being so hyped? I think it should personally, but at the same time, I think WWE wants to make sure the Universal title match is a high priority, and that's why they're doing it inside the cell rather than just doing a normal match for the Universal title. I think WWE might get cold feet, but if there was ever a time to have the women's match main event, this would be it. Charlotte and Sasha Banks are coming off a hot feud. They had the title change on Raw, which was the main event. And this is history, the first ever women's Hell in a Cell match. Now, WWE might feel that that's enough. They're already elevating this match between Sasha Banks and Charlotte by doing Hell in a Cell. But hell, I think go all the way with it. Make it the main event. Let them make history. Let them have all the big spots. Let them have the most violent match. I know some people have mixed feelings about the women doing the violent spots, but I mean, Charlotte's the daughter of Ric Flair. I mean, she can be hardcore. Let her be hardcore. Let them both be hardcore and use the weapons and just beat the living hell out of each other. Why not? Give them the chance. You know, that's what we've been saying all along. Give them a chance. This is the opportunity. This one comes from Tom Jameson 77. How would you book a John Cena heel turn, and should a rumored Cena vs. Undertaker match main event WrestleMania next year? I honestly feel it's too late to do a John Cena heel turn, but if I was going to do it, I would go all the way with it. I would not do it and not put all the effort into it. John Cena would need to be a complete 180 from his current character and be a full-fledged heel. None of this charity stuff, no wearing the breast cancer shirts, none of that. He has to be the nastiest, most evil, despicable person on the planet. Just like Hulk Hogan was when he went heel in '96. You gotta look at that. That is the ideal situation, to take John Cena and do what WCW did with Hogan in '96 and have John Cena revolutionize WWE and just turn it completely upside down. And I don't think WWE is going to do that. I always felt that if WWE had turned John Cena heel, they would have somehow managed to screw it up. That was my biggest fear for all these years. So if WWE does it, they need to do it right. Otherwise, don't bother. And as far as Cena versus Undertaker goes, I mean, I felt they should have done it this past year. John Cena got hurt. I think they should do it this coming year. I mean, we've seen the pictures of Undertaker on crutches. I mean, who knows how much time he has left in the business, how many more matches he'll be able to do. If he can do one more match, I think it should be against Cena, honestly. Got this one here from Jesse. If WWE acquires TNA, who do you see from TNA being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame? Earl Hebner should definitely go in. Well, I would agree about Earl Hebner, but there was the whole controversy surrounding his departure from WWE. He was fired, accused of, I think it was some kind of fraud with merchandising. I don't recall exactly. But going back to earlier, you know, I was talking about Kurt Angle and the Hardy Boys. I mean, Kurt Angle's not part of TNA anymore, but the Hardy Boys, I think it's inevitable that they'll be in the WWE Hall of Fame and possibly the headliners. I could see that happening in the next several years, and same thing with Kurt Angle. He should almost definitely be going in soon. It's just a matter of when WWE feels the timing is right. But, I mean, Kurt Angle and the Hardys, obvious, you know, when you look at all the possible names, they're at the top of the list for sure. All right, got one more here from Garrison Mendez. Thoughts on broken Matt Hardy inviting WWE and ROH tag teams to the Total Nonstop Deletion tag match? Do you see it happening? No, I do not. I think it's highly unlikely in all likelihood, as I would say. I think that even if WWE bought TNA, WWE would just flat out cancel whatever plans TNA had. There would be no Total Nonstop Deletion taping if WWE was to buy TNA in the near future. And who knows what's going on. All that is up in the air right now, but I do not see it happening. I think Matt Hardy's just doing it for the publicity and getting the headlines. You know, on NoDQ.com, there's the article about Matt Hardy issuing the open challenge. That's what Matt Hardy is trying to accomplish. He's trying to get publicity for this event, this Total Nonstop Deletion. But yeah, there's no realistic chance of anybody from WWE showing up for that. And unlikely somebody from Ring of Honor or the Indies showing up. Maybe a few people from the Indies. Young Bucks, I doubt it. I doubt ROH would allow that. So probably not unless it's somebody from the Indies. Got one more here actually from I am a Jobber. Your thoughts on Hideo Itami's injury? Do you think he can be WWE World Champion one day? I think it really sucks. I think it's very unfortunate for him to suffer another injury just as he was starting to get some momentum with his comeback. Now he's on the sidelines again, and it's not looking good for him to have a lengthy run in WWE because the company is going to see him as injury prone and they're not going to want to invest all that much in him knowing that he could get hurt at any time. I think I said this before he got injured the second time, that WWE would need to see him have a track record of not getting hurt before they felt they could really invest money into his brand. So right now, it's not looking good for him. You know, hopefully he'll come back and he'll be able to go for a long time without an injury. Otherwise, it is going to be a long shot for him to have any kind of real long-term major success in WWE and being a champion. You know, you said a champion. You know, even a U.S. champion or an IC champion, that might be a long shot if he keeps getting hurt. Well, I got even more here. I'm just going on a roll here with these questions. All right, got this one here from Noah. Do you think WWE adding a Tron on the ring apron and ring posts is overkill? Same feeling when the Cruiserweights wrestle. Your thoughts? I like what they've done with the Titantron and the staging and the ring posts, and I do feel it's a bit overkill with the Cruiserweight setup. To me, that feels unnecessary, and I just have this feeling that in 2 months they're going to give up on it. It just seems like too much effort. You know, they have to have the crew changing the color of the ring ropes and then changing it back and then changing it again and changing it back. I sense WWE's going to give up on that in the next couple months. I might be wrong, but it just seems like too much effort. But everything else I think is a nice change of pace, and you know, cosmetically it's nice to change things up. Doesn't change the quality of the brand, but it is good to change the look of the show and update the technology. So on that note, I think it's really cool. Alright, finally that'll do it for this edition of No DQ&A video. This one felt like a really long one. I hope you guys enjoyed the video today. If you did, you could do me a huge favor. Take the URL to this video and share it on Facebook, Twitter, or any other social media site that you go on. Spread the word about No DQ&A video. That is the best way you can support this series. And you can submit your questions, of course, at twitter.com/AaronRift using the hashtag PAIV. And on that note, I will see you guys next time for more.